Happy Thanksgiving. This is Talk Ag to Me, the podcast dedicated to improving ag literacy around the globe. I'm your host, Brennan Black, and yes, I am wearing a homemade pilgrim hat. And that is because today's episode is dedicated to today's holiday. Thanksgiving is a holiday that we celebrate by eating, so I thought it'd be kind of fitting to just do a quick little episode, nothing too long, just talking about the history, the purpose, and some of the food that you might expect seeing during your Thanksgiving feasts. And I know a lot of us already know this stuff, but I mean, an entire holiday celebrated by eating. How am I going to miss that? So jumping into the first point here, like I said, we're going to keep this nice and short. Just talking a little bit about the history. I mean, I know we learned the history of Thanksgiving as kids. You know, in our first and second grade classes, we learned the Pilgrims and the Native Americans all got together and had one big feast, and they ate all kinds of different food, and that's where Thanksgiving came from. What we don't know is exactly how long it took for us to get the Thanksgiving we have today. So the first Thanksgiving feast was actually in 1621, and it was between the Plymouth colonists and the Wampanoag, I hope I pronounced that right, the Wampanoag Indians. They shared a autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as the first ever Thanksgiving dinner. And for more than 2 centuries, this same feast has been replicated year after year as a celebration of the harvest. It wasn't until 1863, though, in the middle of the Civil War, that Abraham Lincoln said that it needed to become a national holiday. And it actually wasn't until 1941 that it officially became its own national holiday. However, that may be the origin of the holiday Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving we have now is thanks to a woman by the name of Sarah Josepha Hale. She saw the value in dedicating an entire day to being thankful for what we have in our lives, and she took that to a whole new level. She wrote columns and journals and fictional pieces and poems and all kinds of stuff about Thanksgiving, about how we need to be thankful for what we have. And she wrote all these thematic, just fictional pieces about, turkeys, and she wrote all these recipes about all the food that we eat on Thanksgiving today. I mean, she's basically the mother of the Thanksgiving that we know today. She turned it into the big old celebration it is today, instead of just the one dinner that we have once a year. And I think it's her to thank that we really have the massive appreciation of this holiday. And I think that's kind of another reason I wanted to do an episode on it, was because Thanksgiving is a very underappreciated holiday. I mean, as soon as Halloween's over, all of the stores already have Christmas stuff. You're already setting up your Christmas tree. You're already Christmas shopping. Thanksgiving's completely overlooked. I mean, nobody really remembers Thanksgiving in the end of the year. They always say, I'm looking forward to Halloween or Christmas. Nobody ever looks forward to Thanksgiving. I mean, it's just you have dinner. But it's really an important holiday to appreciate, especially for those of us that are large supporters of the agriculture industry. The entire reason Thanksgiving even became a holiday was as a celebration of the harvest. And it's right at the end of the harvest, and it's to celebrate the prosperity of agriculture and the prosperity of the food for that year, and to kind of celebrate the union of all people around agriculture. And so I thought that was kind of an important piece of the purpose of Thanksgiving that really overlook a lot. And a lot of people just think you're just being thankful for what you have, and you are, and that's awesome. But even that part of it is being overlooked. I mean, the unique part about Thanksgiving is it has evolved past the point of just being a celebration of agriculture. Now people who don't even support agriculture are celebrating Thanksgiving without even knowing that they are supporting agriculture by eating. Agriculture is something that a lot of people support, a lot of people don't know about, and a lot of people don't support, but Thanksgiving is something that everyone can get behind. And Thanksgiving is a holiday that, although yes, it's supposed to mark the end of the harvest and it's supposed to celebrate the prosperity of agriculture and all these things, it really just reminds us of how good we have it here, about how good our lives are, and how we really need, about how much we take things for granted, and how we should really appreciate what we have and not waste it. And so I think that that's something that's very important for all of us to really reflect upon. I think it's something that is significant enough to make an episode out of. So yeah, the food is important and the agriculture is important, but I think the premise of Thanksgiving, the thing that that lady saw, is really what's important about this holiday, and something that I think is a little bit too unappreciated. So once again, Thanksgiving It's a holiday that we celebrate by eating tons and tons and tons of food to the point where you regret it the next morning and possibly even that night. And I think that it's kind of an important thing to address all the different, or maybe not all the different, because that's going to be a little hard, but a lot of the different types of food that we eat during Thanksgiving, because, like I said, this show is dedicated to agriculture. So probably the most iconic piece of food when you think of Thanksgiving is turkey. Turkey is the number one thing that comes to mind. They have the turkey trots. They have all the movies about the turkey. They have, everything is turkey in Thanksgiving. So it's really important that we address turkey if we're going to address anything about Thanksgiving feasts. And turkey most commonly comes from Minnesota, North Carolina, Arkansas, and Virginia, which makes sense because the first ever Thanksgiving feast wasn't that far from Virginia. So they probably had enough turkeys around there to round them up and have that whole feast. And that's assuming that turkey was one of the meals they ate during Thanksgiving, which I'm assuming it is. That's something that we were told since kids. But it also could have been an adaptation by Miss Hale, the lady that created a lot of the recipes for a lot of our Thanksgiving foods. Stuffing is another iconic piece of the Thanksgiving feast that is hard to miss. And stuffing, it's a little bit harder to pinpoint its origin because it's just a mixture of foods, and it's usually small bits of bread, and it's just all kinds of different stuff. So you really can't say who's the top producer of stuffing in the country because I mean it just depends on what you're making it out of. A lot of people make their own stuffing, and so it's hard to just pinpoint a whole lot on stuffing. But I thought it was important to address anyway because I mean, what's a turkey without stuffing? It's kind of it's like I said, it's iconic. You can't not have stuffing on Thanksgiving. That's just foolish. Um, Moving into the gravy. Gravy is another really big iconic food for Thanksgiving, and gravy is produced by the fats of various types of meat. And so once again, it's really hard to avoid, or it's really hard to find the provider of gravy in the country because gravy can come from a lot of different sources. A lot of this stuff is like that. That's why this woman created so many different recipes for all these different foods, is because it's not just one food. It's not like we're just having turkey and corn and carrots and apples. It's like it's mixtures of stuff, and it creates new things that we didn't even know we could have. And so that kind of shows the advancement of food technology as well. An example of that is cranberry sauce. I mean, cranberry sauce is derived from cranberries, which are most commonly grown in Wisconsin. And actually, Wisconsin is the top producing cranberry state and has been since 1995. They've been on top for a while. They're pretty competitive with California for how many different types of food they produce and how much of it they produce. And so I think it's kind of cool to see that Wisconsin's getting some recognition in there as far as the Thanksgiving meals go. Thanksgiving is also popular for its various vegetables. I mean, we have tons of vegetables that go into Thanksgiving. You have cornucopias full of squash and pumpkins and all kinds of just different gourds and just large vegetables. And you have potatoes and you have corn and you have all kinds of different foods and stuff. And I mean, just going into corn alone, corn is grown in every state. It's very easy to access for most people, and it was actually what the Native Americans contributed to the original Thanksgiving dinner. They grew a lot of maize, and that was their corn, and they used it to make cornbread, which is it's just made from cornmeal. I mean, it's a common Native American cuisine, and yeah, they just turned it into this staple of the Thanksgiving dinner that a lot of people enjoy now, and they don't even know where it comes from. What's interesting is I actually just learned this a couple days ago. The tallest stalk of corn ever grown was 33 feet tall. 33 feet. That's ridiculous. That's taller than a lot of houses. I mean, just imagine how tall that stalk of corn had to be 33 feet tall and break that record. And I want to say it was grown in Iowa. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it came from Iowa. Fact check me if I'm wrong. Another big staple is potatoes. Potatoes are the top vegetable grown in the United States, so it's hard to have any meal without a potato in it somewhere. They've been commercially grown in over 30 states. Then again, or not again, Iowa is the top producing state of potatoes. Potatoes are they're one of the more versatile foods in terms of how many different ways they can be prepared. I mean, you have baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, French fries, hash browns, chips. I mean, potatoes can be used in everything. So it makes sense that they're one of the most, or they're the top vegetable grown in the United States is because so many people use potatoes for so many different things. So it also makes sense that we would have potatoes for our Thanksgiving dinner. So yeah, no, there's a lot of different foods that go into the Thanksgiving dinner. My favorite being the pies. So pie is one of the most common desserts for Thanksgiving dinner, and pumpkin pie is probably one of the more common pies that they use. Pumpkin pie, apple pie, pecan pie. I mean, there's all kinds of different pies. But what's interesting is pumpkin pie is actually the healthiest and most nutrient dense of all the pies that are commonly used for this dinner. Pumpkin pie has a lot more beta carotene, which can be converted into vitamin A. It's a lot lower in sugar than a lot of the other pies. Actually, pecan pie is the least healthy because it's almost entirely sugar. It's just jam-packed full of sugar, whereas pumpkin pie has a lot more vitamins and nutrients in it that we can actually absorb. And not saying that pumpkin pie is entirely healthy, especially not the way that we prepare it, because we just smack a whole bunch of ice cream and whipped cream and just crust, and there's all kinds of just unhealthy stuff on pumpkin pie, but pumpkin pie itself and pumpkins themselves are actually fairly healthy for you in comparison to pecan pie. So I know that I'm going to be looking forward to my pumpkin pie later tonight when I have Thanksgiving dinner with my family. I hope you will too. Like I said, this is a shorter episode, so that's about all I have. I just wanted to give a quick little shout out to Thanksgiving, and just appreciate this holiday that's a celebration of agriculture, a celebration of harvest, and a celebration of just being thankful for what we have. And that's something that I like to reflect on this show quite often, is being thankful for what we're given and what surrounds us. And so I'd also like to be thankful for my viewers here. I'd like to thank you, all of you, for watching and tuning in and supporting us, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're looking for someone to give thanks to, and I know that you ate today, thank a farmer.